This is the How'd You Do It podcast, and I'm your host, Lyle Wilkes. I believe that people have more to offer and knowledge to share than they ever give themselves credit for. So with that, my goal is to deep dive into the success stories of business owners, entrepreneurs, and community icons so they can share the road they traveled and what they learned along the way. Welcome to episode 5 of the How'd You Do It podcast. This week we have Mike Peacock. Mike has done quite a bit in his lifetime, and I think the most impressive thing about him is that he's been in a leadership role since he was 21. He's gone from the quarries and rock fields all the way to the pest control business, and now he's helping businesses grow and also develop leaders in the process. We covered some really interesting topics and just a lot of skills and life skills in it. I hope you enjoy it. I know I did. So, Mr. Mike Peacock, I am just glad to have you on. I've known you for a short time, met you through our little business network, and you've helped me out a lot. And I really wanted to get you on here because you are the person that just wants to give and want to help. And you also have a ton of experience in the business world and also from a leadership standpoint. And I really kind of want to talk about that because I don't know much about your history. Okay. And so I know you got started. You've been in the pest control corporate world for a while. I say a while, a long time, a lot of years there. But what did you do before that?
Whoa, that's a great question. First of all, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
And I'm honored and privileged to be here. So I started off in 1985, I believe it was, in a rock quarry in Auburn. Okay. I began as a laborer, and within a few months, I had operated all the machines, moved up into the maintenance field. A few months after that, I was promoted to the lead maintenance person over the night shift, which was about 10 people, and did that for about a year and a half and became plant foreman. And even though we were rated at a small operation, we were the second most profitable rock quarry that Martin Marietta had at the time. And I did that for about 11 and a half, 12 years. One Sunday evening, I get a call from a guy. He says, "You don't know me, but I know you, and you're the best in the industry. What will it take to come start a quarry for me?" I'm like, "Well, here's what it'll take." And he says, "Turn your notice in tomorrow." I did. Went and started a new quarry from scratch. It was nothing but a pond and a hayfield. Built the whole thing, hired everybody, got it up running production. But unfortunately, I was working from 5 in the morning to midnight, 7 days a week. So it didn't take long for me to decide it's time to move on to something else. So I went down the road and did industrial maintenance for a facility. Within 3 months, they fired my boss because I was doing my job and his. And that left me as the only maintenance person for 3 shifts, 7 days a week. And back then we
in the same situation.
Back in the same situation. So back then we had the pagers, the beepers, and I was tethered to it 24 hours a day. And many days I would work my shift, go home, go back, go home, sleep in the car in the parking lot, put a sign up says, "Wake me up at this time."
Lord. Yeah.
And they relocated. They closed and relocated to North Carolina, wanted me to go with them. And I'm like, "No, my family is here and I'm going to stay." Spent a little time looking for work. I was overqualified, made too much money, and no one would talk to me. And that led me into the world of pest control.
Okay.
And started in Auburn. It was a brand new operation with an established company. It was a family-owned company, a large family-owned company. And within a year, I was the sales manager there. Within 3 years, I was asked to come to Montgomery to be the district manager of the location here. Huh. And
so going back to the rock quarry, how did you find that? Was that like a family thing, or like was it?
Actually, it was. Yeah. My father-in-law worked there. He had been in it his whole life, and believe it or not, I loved it.
Yeah,
absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
I love the certain equipment to be able to operate. I really enjoyed that. But the most part I loved was the fabricating. I could get a design in my head for something, I'd draw it out, order the steel, throw it in the floor in the shop, and a couple of weeks later I had something built.
I bet that was pretty neat. Yeah, because like before I got into real estate, I was a mechanic for a while, and any opportunity I had to be just a little bit creative instead of just fixing the problem, I really, really enjoyed that. Yeah. And so like you moved up the ranks quickly in the rock quarry. How old were you when you started managing people?
Somewhere around 21.
20. How was that?
To be honest with you, when I first started, I was a little intimidated because most of the men that I was responsible for were old enough to be my father and grandfather. So I just dove into it. I got as much knowledge as I could, and then I had to prove myself to them that I was worthy of this position. I earned their respect.
How did you do that?
Well, I'll tell you a quick story that will illustrate. Now, just like in real estate, the market goes up and down. Well, in construction, the market goes up and down too.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And when the market goes down and there's not a lot of road construction, you do not produce stone. We were in that period of time that we were not going to produce as much stone that we were used to. And we were going to do a shutdown for 3 months. And at the time, I had about 40 people I was responsible for. So I went to the president of the company and I said, hey, during this time that we're shut down, can we do some repair work? And we'll keep a skeleton crew on, do the work, so when we start back up, we hit the ground running, we don't have any hiccups. He said, great idea, get a list and get the people you want. So during about 6 or 8 weeks, I did not fix anything. I let it break. Because the more that I could fix during shutdown, the more men I could keep on working.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because when you're shut down means that everyone goes home.
Shut down.
Okay.
Everybody. Unemployment.
Yeah, that's not good for anyone.
No.
Oh, so you became the hero.
Yes. And yes.
Yeah, you can say you're a hero. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, so it was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. That was going to be the final day. And I went through a lot of grief because they thought I was young, didn't know what was going on. And one man in particular would give me a terrible time about it. Going to wreck us, going to put us out of business. And when I called his name, he broke down in tears because I kept him on to help work. After it was over, he come and hugged me and says, I understand what you did now. And I want to thank you for myself and my family.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you were in leadership role how many years there? Manager? Yeah.
Well, I've been in the leadership role since I was 21.
Yeah. But how long at the Rock Quarry?
About 11 years.
About 11 years?
10 years, 11 years.
So you got done with that and you moved towards the local family-owned big business, pest control business.
Big business.
Yeah. And so district manager role there, how was it? Like, I imagine the people were a little different on the managing scale.
Actually, no. People are people.
People are people?
People
okay.
are people.
Yeah, and I guess I envision like the Rock Quarry, like just big burly guys. I mean, you're a big guy, you know. I didn't know if like the tempers flared or anything. No.
Yeah. People are people.
Yeah,
and most people want to do good. They want to do a good job. We love to get patted on the backs, the accolades, and people are just people.
Yeah.
And so when I got to Montgomery in 2006, introduced to the office, and the only question anyone had was, who did I pull for, Alabama or Auburn?
Typical.
Typical question. Yeah. So we got that out of the way, and I met with my leadership team and put out a plan. This is what we're going to do. And we went through some growing pains. And as you well know, 7 and 8 was not good.
Yes.
And when you're in that business and they're not building houses, you're not doing a lot of work. Yeah. So it was a struggle for everyone. And fortunate to say that we continue to grow. It was not at what we wanted, but we did continue to grow, and I continue to add people. When I got to Montgomery in 2006, I had about 35 people in the office. And when I left in 2019, I had 60. And we went from a $2 million operations to right at $6 million.
That's awesome.
Pretty good.
Yeah, no kidding. So did you take all of the things you learned from a management position into the pest control? And like, where did you get that knowledge? Was it just like, on the job experience training?
Actually, I was in a meeting. I just told this story earlier today. I was in a meeting in New Orleans when I worked at the quarry in Auburn, and the vice president of human resources, we clicked, and he came up to me about midweek and said, "Do you read?" And I'm like, "Well, I can read." He says, "No, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, do you read?" And I'm like, "Well, magazines, newspapers." He says, "Here," and he hands me a book, and it was Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He said, "Read that, call me when you're finished, and let's talk about it." And that's what I did. I fell in love with reading at my mid-20s, and I've never stopped. But what I learned through that is that there is a difference between being a manager and being a leader.
Yes.
So a good manager is not necessarily a good leader, but a good leader is always a good manager too.
What do you mean by that?
Well, management is about processes. That's it.
Yeah,
Simple.
systems
It's
and
about
checklists.
systems and checklists. Leadership is about inspiring other people to live up to their potential, not your idea of them, but what they're capable of. So once you've identified that, then you have to equip them. You look at everything in life as either a cost or an investment. Well, people are an investment. And if I invest into you, I invest into Lyle, and I make Lyle a better man. Well, in return, Lyle's a better spouse, a better father, a better neighbor, a better community. And in return, you provide better service to our customers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what leaders do.
When did you like that click for you, or was it something you already knew or naturally knew?
No, I didn't naturally know it. I learned it was a process along the way.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people talk about Nick Saban and the process.
We are in Alabama.
We are in Alabama. Yeah. I'm an Auburn guy.
Oh, okay.
I'm not the guy that hates on Alabama. But Nick Saban, he is spot on when he talks about a process. There's a process for everything.
Yeah.
And then you have to identify it. And then you have to teach it to your team and equip them and get out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just get out of the way.
The get out of the way part, I feel like people often, and that's probably, well, I say people, I'll just speak on my behalf.
Yeah.
I don't do that enough sometimes, I feel like. I don't let them make their own mistakes.
So it's a great point, and I think we all struggle with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to working in the Rock Quarry, and I love to weld. Okay. I love to fabricate. I love to weld. And that's a hard thing to teach someone without literally being with them. Yeah. So there would be times I would teach you how to weld, and we both got our welding hoods on, and I'm talking to you, and I'm telling you this is what you need to do, and you listen for this sound, you look at this. But then sometimes I have to reach over and take your hand and kind of guide you along the way. This is what you want to do. And that's what you have to do in leadership with anybody. You guide them along the way, and then you have to take your hand off and let them do it. Yeah. If they mess up, if you want someone to improve, encourage them to fail and fail often.
Yes. Yeah.
Failing is a good thing as long as you learn from it. If you repeat it, then it becomes a bad thing.
Yeah. I understand that. Yeah. That's interesting. Do you, through your process, have you always enjoyed the leadership role?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I get more joy out of helping other people succeed than myself.
I've come to found that over the past couple of years too. When I first got started in real estate, it was just me, and it was just producing, and it's me being a better version than I was yesterday. That's what it was about. And as I've grown First Call and the company, and we've grown agent counts, and it's different because I get so much more out of watching them accomplish something and do something than I ever would, and it was strange when I first got it, but then that's kind of my why now in a certain way, so
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with the leadership role, how was it with the Rock Quarry? Was it all kind of the same process as far as management and things? Let me rephrase that a different way. Was there a difference from the quarry to corporate pest control as far as the management style or the top down, or was it all the same?
The leadership part is the same.
Yeah.
You identify what they need to be successful, help identify their why, and then you equip them, and then you support them.
How do you help them identify their why?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
If we got a minute, I'm going to share a story with you.
Yeah, share a story. We got plenty of time.
So several years ago in my sales department, we would meet every morning. We had a big oval table we met around. And I got in early that morning. And I had 2 pieces of blue painter's tape, side by side, 8 foot long, taped to the floor. That's it. I didn't say anything. Everybody comes in. We start our day. And finally, one person says, okay, what's the deal with the tape on the floor? I'm like, glad you asked. I said, for $20, would you attempt to walk this 4-inch wide, 8 foot long strip of painter's tape? Of course, every hand in the office went up. Then I took a 4x4 that was 8 foot long. I placed on top of it. For $20, do you attempt to walk this 8 foot, 4-inch wide? Absolutely. Then I placed it on top of 2 16-inch cinder blocks. So now we're talking about 20 inches in the air. Again, every hand went up, $20. Yeah. Then I placed it on top of 2 6-foot step ladders. I had one gentleman that says, yeah, I'm still young. If I fall, break a leg, I'll heal.
Yeah.
And then I said, I want you to imagine with me now that this 4x4 is now 50 foot long, and it's on top of two 100-story buildings. For $20, Lyle, do you try it?
No.
How about 100?
No.
If I possibly could for $1 million, would you attempt it?
I'd think about it, but probably not.
Think about it, but probably not. That's a long way down.
Yeah, that's a long way.
Oh, I forgot one key part. I forgot to tell you, on the other side, that other building is your family, and the building's on fire.
Without hesitation, yeah.
So what changed?
The why. What's on the other side? Yeah.
So when your why is big enough, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
What you have to do doesn't matter. Yeah. So you have to identify what's most important to a person. And you keep reminding them of that. You started this job. You started this journey because your why was your family, or your why was you wanted to help people.
Yeah.
And you keep that on their mind, because if we've got our why in front of us, then what we have to do doesn't matter.
It's funny you bring that last part up, because in my office it's remember why you started, in a big frame, and as I go through and I try to help support and inspire and motivate people, I've learned that most of my job is not so much teaching, it's reminding, because most people know what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Most people know how to do their job or how to do it well. They just need to be reminded of why and reminded of the process of it,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what were some of the big hurdles you mentioned in 06, 07, 08, through that downtime, right? Or, well, not really 06. I guess it'd just be 07, 08, and 09. Right. Things got serious.
They went sideways quick.
Yes. Yeah. They went sideways very, very fast. What were the struggles that you had, and how did you accomplish them, or overcome them?
Well, you overcome them by having the right people in place. Jim Collins, in his book Good to Great, he talks about having the right people on the bus, but then you got to get them in the right seat on the bus. Yeah. You got to put them in their strength. So I worked on that and had to replace some people that wasn't buying in. And then
I want to stop you right there. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the people that don't buy in and replacing them, and how do you know when it's right? Where is the cutoff as far as, okay, we've done this same thing over and over again, we've defined the definition of insanity through our actions, and
doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Well, you just have to be brutally honest with them.
Yeah.
For me, if we work together and you were not living up to your expectations or my expectations for you, then we were going to have a talk, and it would be something like, Lyle, I need you to help me. This is where we need to be. This is where we're headed. So I need you to tell me what I need to do to help you get there. And then what we'll do is maybe once a week, say every Friday at 3 o'clock, you and I are going to get together. We're going to debrief, and we're going to talk about what happened this week, the good and the bad, and what we can do to improve next week. We'll do this for, say, 45 or 60 days. And if we don't see that improvement that we're looking for, then we may have to make some changes.
Yeah.
And then you just have to stick to it.
Yeah. I understand that.
And then the hiring process, it's so important that you bring the right talent in. And that begins with not a skill set, because you can teach anybody anything. So I'm certified in motivation-based, call it MBI, motivation-based interviewing. And with that, you're looking for character. You're looking for those internally driven people that you can teach anything.
Yeah.
But you can't teach character. You can't teach a work ethic. So you bring these people in that have that, and then, again, you go equip them. You give them everything they need to be successful, and then get out of their way and let them be.
That's one, my early real estate coach, when I think it was a year after I got into real estate, we were talking, and, it was probably a year after it, and I had tripled my sales that year and was doing great. And he mentioned to me, he says, I knew you were going to do fine because you come from a blue-collar background in real estate, And I was like, well, expand on that. What do you mean by that? And he says, you have no problem getting up and doing the work. And right. So that really clicked with me,
So it's as simple as this. Every morning when we wake up, we're going to say one of two things. Either I get to go do whatever your job is,
sure,
or I've got to go do it.
Yeah.
And if you wake up with the attitude that you've got to go do something, you need to move on and find something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
But every day I get up, I know that I get to go out and help people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So what do you do if you're in a position where you don't enjoy what you do?
You got to find something you enjoy.
Yeah.
Life is just too short to be miserable every day.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Most people cannot leave work at work.
Yeah.
They take it home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And your family deserves more than that.
Yeah. I think sometimes though it's people like I've been in those places before where burnout and what have you. Like and I experience it with real estate a lot. And I got heavily into investing, just trying to find that different thing. But I realized it wasn't the work, it was something else. It was why I was doing it. And do you feel like people often make that mistake as well? Because a lot of people say they hate their job, and you talk to them, it's not their job, it's why they're going to work.
Right.
Because work is work is work, whether you're in a rock quarry, spraying houses, whatever it is,
Absolutely.
It's work.
That's right. So here's what helps. You got to know your why. And for most people, it's like, well, it's to make money. That's not true. Money's just a tool. You exchange money for something. So let's talk about that something that you want to exchange. Is it more time with your family? Is it a nicer house? Is it a house on the lake? So it's whatever that is you are exchanging your time, your money for. You figure that out, help them figure that out, and just keep it in front of them. Keep reminding them, we started this because you said you wanted to spend more time with your family. Has that changed? No. Okay, well then let's do this.
I got it. So when did you really start? Did you implement the things that you learned from reading the books and growing did you start implementing that into the where you were managing the Rock Quarry?
That's where it began, yes.
That's where it began?
Yeah.
And how did it expanded through the Pest Control company and things of that nature, but when did you realize there is so much to this, I have to use it? Like when was that shift?
When it started changing me.
Oh, okay.
I figure if it changes me, then it can change other people. So to start, it's like an infant. You have a baby, you feed baby food.
Yeah.
And as it grows up, you eat more solid food, and eventually, the baby grows up and he's eating steak. So that's the way it is when you're helping people. You have to start off small, give them a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and eventually they'll come to you and say, "Hey, what have you got now? I just finished this. What do you got now?" When I was the district manager here in Montgomery, I love to read, and I would read a book or listen to it on Audible. And if it really connected with me, then I would buy the book and I'd go through it with my pen and my highlighter and I'd make notes. And if it was really good, then I would buy all my leadership team the same book, and then we divide it up, and every week we would spend 15, 20 minutes once a week discussing the book and how it spoke to us. And then we would learn from each other on it.
I like that a lot because I share podcasts, I share books, I share those things, but going over it with somebody, that's something I haven't done, but I really like that. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We cannot give something we do not possess. So first we have to work on ourselves.
Yeah.
We work on ourselves, and then we begin to help other people.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you fly on an airplane. I said, just in case something happens, this is going to come down. Put it on yourself first before you can help anybody else.
Yeah.
So in leadership, it's the same way. I have to work on me. And by the way, the hardest person to lead is ourselves.
Absolutely.
Once we've got past that to where we realize we're the hardest person leading, we lead ourselves, then we can start giving that and helping lead others. My goal is to develop leaders, not managers. They're easy to find.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I want a leader. I want someone that will invest in their team the same way I invested in them.
Do you find them just through like the interview process, asking the right questions?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you find that driven person and you're able to help identify that why, then really all you have to do is just continue to fuel that fire and let them go.
Yeah. It's funny you say fuel the fire. That's kind of my slogan, feed the fire.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So Pest Control, how long were you there, and how long? And you grew it from 2 million to 6 million, from 35 employees to 60.
Yeah.
How long were you there for that stint?
Well, a little over 14 years.
14 years.
In Montgomery.
Got it.
3 years in Auburn.
3 years in
So a little over 17 total years.
What made you want to hang it up?
It was just time to go.
Just time to go?
Yeah, just time to do something different.
Yeah. And so what did you do after that?
Nothing for a little while.
Yeah.
And, I say nothing. I continue to help and coach and mentor people. And finally, one day, a friend of mine's like, you've done this for so many people. Why don't you start a business and charge people? I'm like, no, I don't want to charge. I just love helping people. And then I started thinking, why don't I charge for it?
Yeah.
Why don't I charge for the knowledge and the help that I provide? So I started the business, and still I do a lot of pest control consulting. We do technical training for them. I do a lot of leadership training for businesses, and yeah.
Do you enjoy it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. It goes back. It's like I said earlier. To me, it makes me feel like a parent on Christmas morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you give your kids these gifts, and the joy on their face when they open it up, and you're able to see that. That's the way I feel when I'm able to help someone be successful.
When they finally get that little click, right?
Yes.
When they see that, and you can see it in their eyes, like it makes sense.
And they're like,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. Didn't understand it then, but I understand it now.
yeah. When you walk into these, you coach businesses and leadership teams, and also individuals, I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, what's the common problems or issues that you encounter with it? What's the most common? We'll start there.
Consistency.
Yeah.
You said earlier, most people know what to do. They just have to be reminded of it. So that consistency thing.
Yeah.
So we have to, first, the leadership. They have to be consistent in what they do. They have to be the same person every day. One of the things that really is detrimental to a business is not knowing which boss shows up. You know, on Monday he comes in, he's had a good weekend, he's on cloud nine, everything is great, and by Friday, it's not a good day. So when you go to him, is he Jekyll or is he Hyde? So be consistent.
Yeah, like with that though, how do you help people regulate that?
Just pick one. If you're going to be Jekyll all the time. That way, your employees, your staff, your partners, they know what to expect. But don't come in and be one day and one the next.
Okay, so it's just a decision process. Then it's nothing else.
Yeah.
What else?
But hopefully you treat people right.
Yeah. Jekyll or Hyde, you know.
Yeah. So everybody's one or the other. Yeah. So here's the thing: if I take care of my team, then in return they're going to go out and take care of our customers, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I want. I want satisfied customers, because you don't make the money in the initial sale; you make the money on the repetitive part of it.
Yeah.
So the longer I can retain customers, the more money my business makes.
Yeah. You do that all through consistency.
All through consistency.
Huh. So what else, expand on consistency a little more, because
so,
I love the topic.
Okay, we just started a new year, 2024.
Yeah.
Every gym in the Tri-County area is full.
It's awful.
It's awful.
Gosh,
everybody's there because we made these resolutions.
Yeah.
February the 1st, what does it look like?
Oh, it's empty. No. Yeah.
Why?
Because no one's consistent with it.
No one's consistent.
Yeah.
We all had a great idea. We all had good intentions, but we didn't have the consistency to follow through.
Yeah.
Same thing in business. Same thing in sports.
Yeah.
Now, you have two opposing teams. Chances are both head coaches had a winning game plan when they started. But the consistency to execute the right play every time is what separates them.
Yeah. Do you think with people that they're starting off the new year, they bite off more than they can chew? Because like when I say that, I feel from my own experience as well as watching others, is they have all these big plans. Mm-hmm. And it's like that from A to B is so monumental. It's like a 3-year plan. They're trying to accomplish it in one. And so, therefore, they get burnt out 3, 4, 5 months because they don't see the results. Right. And to me, like the consistency problem from my own personal experience, it's more so setting goals and things that you can achieve toward then it's baby steps, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. There's only 2 things in life we really have 100% control over. That's our attitude and our effort.
Yeah.
So, again, we just started a new year. Everyone has their New Year's resolutions, their goals for the year. And unfortunately, we set our goals on things that we don't have 100% control over. So I'll use sales for an example. We want to sell $1 million this year or $10 million this year. Do you have control over that? No. So what do you have to have control over? Well, I need this many sales to equal $1 million or $10 million. How do you get them? I have to talk to this many people. Okay, how many phone calls do you have to make? How many doors do you have to knock? So you get it down to that daily activity that I need to talk to 10 people a day, and that's it. And I have control over that. I wake up, I get to go do what I want to do, and I have that healthy, positive attitude, and then I know what my effort is, because effort will give you the results.
Yeah.
But you have to be consistent. You can't do it on Monday and not do it again until next Monday.
Yeah.
It's not consistent.
one of the things I talk to the agents and just everybody in the company about is we only have control over time and effort, and time and effort equals results. So how much time you put into something and how much effort that's the result you're going to get.
That's it.
What people I think don't understand though is that you're always getting a result. You don't like that's it. So like they have these expectations of, the result's just going to come. It's like, no, if you're not putting time or effort into it, you're going to get a result you're probably not going to like. So
yeah, it's like making a decision.
yeah.
Okay. Not making a decision is making a decision.
Yes.
So everything, like I said earlier, is it's either a cost or an investment. So you look at it, well, it takes me 5 hours a day to do this. Well, is that a cost or an investment? Because if it's an investment, it didn't cost you anything. You invested. And if you invest, you're expecting a return.
Yeah.
But if you look at everything as a cost, it cost me a day. There's no return on that. And there's no expectations.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. And speaking on consistency, it's like there's, all the great speakers and things. It's successful people. Someone always thinks there's something special with them. They just did the same thing over and over again, more consistent than anybody else.
That's right.
That's one of the things that I learned from my early real estate coach was that he's like, just have more conversations. And that has stuck with me through everything because that's what it's about. Just how many people can I talk to?
It's about building relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
That's really everything in life is about building relationships. The old adage is not what you know, but who you know.
Yeah.
That's only part true. Yeah. It's not just what you know or who you know. It's how well you know them.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Besides consistency, what else do you run into a lot as far as problems within a business when you enter in?
The hiring process.
Okay.
It's a tough market.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's if it's a warm body. I need to fill this spot. Even if it's a bad hire, we fill this spot. I will look for someone better later. Later never comes. And you get caught up in this revolving door where you have people come in and people go out. And it's not fair not only to you or your business, but your solid employees. It's not fair to them that they're having to take up the slack for this. So it begins in the hiring process. You bring the right people in, you equip them, and get them in the right position, and just let them go.
What were some tips as far as with the hiring process though? Like how do you make sure you're getting the right person?
You do the interview, and you're looking for people that are internally driven. Their locus of control is internal. They don't pass the buck. They don't blame others. They accept the responsibility for where they're at and why they're there. And once you do that, again, a skill set, you can teach anyone a skill set.
Yeah.
But you cannot teach a work ethic and character in a person.
Do you think with the hiring process too, I feel like COVID's just changed so much, like after pandemic, and I don't think COVID actually changed people. I just think our landscape in the business world has changed a lot, with people, just have maybe an entitlement, maybe have you seen a lot of that?
Not a lot, no.
Not a lot? Yeah.
Not for me, no.
No? Okay, so you always see intrinsically motivated people?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. There's a lot of blamers out.
Yeah. Is that something that can be fixed? Or are people just people?
That's a great question. And to give you the short answer, yes, it can be fixed, if they want to be fixed, if they want to be better. But if a person is satisfied where they're at, complacent at whatever place they are in life, you're not going to change them.
Got it.
Now, if they do a good job, you continue to let them do that.
Yeah, I got it. So let's say a business made a bad hire. How do you coach people through that?
Well, once you've identified and you've met with that person, you set a timeline, and then you have to execute.
So it's setting expectations.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you have to follow through. Just like with any sales, the follow through is the most important part of it. The follow up.
Yes. Yeah.
So with building a business, if you do make a bad hire, you have to identify it. You have to talk to this person. You set that date, and then you have to follow through.
Yeah. That's it.
If you don't, you lose respect of your good people.
Explain a little bit more on that. Yeah.
Well, why should I give 100% every day if you're accepting 40% from this person here, and we get paid the same?
That's a good perspective. Never thought of it like that.
So it's all about taking care of your people.
Yeah.
See, in business, especially in sales, but probably most businesses, we have two sets of customers. We have internal customers and external customers, and we take care of both of them equally as leaders. The external customers are the people that write the check to us. The internal customers are our staff, our partners, our employees that go out to earn that. So you have to take care of both of them.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept. I don't think I've heard that before. And I've read a lot of business, the internal and external customer, or just put it that way. Yeah. I like that a lot. So
well, think about this. Say you own a widget business, and you show up Monday morning, and your parking lot is full of customers, but no one there, no staff. How much money do you make?
Zero.
Let's say the next Monday morning you show up, and all your staff is there, but there's nobody to buy it. How much money do you make?
Zero.
No, you lose money.
Oh, yeah.
You still got staff.
Yeah.
So you have to treat them both equally, and they're both important in their own right.
Yeah. One of the things that's been kind of like a buzzword lately is culture, and how important is that in a business? And so,
Very.
Okay, so what's your ideas and thought processes around like company culture? How would you describe that?
Well, let me explain. Let me share this with you. One of my favorite authors is a retired Navy SEAL. His name's Jocko Willink, and he wrote a book called Extreme Ownership.
Yeah.
And in that, Jocko says, it's not what you preach, it's what you tolerate that becomes your new standard. So when you're building a culture, it's not what you say, it's not your mission statement, it's not your purpose, it's what you allow to go on. So if we say we're going to be here and work starts at 8 o'clock every day, but then you let people come in at 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes after 8, that's the culture that you're building that you don't want. It's what you tolerated. So you start off early. This is what our culture is going to be. We're going to give the highest quality service, even if it costs losing money sometimes. We're going to take care of our employees, no matter what. That's the culture you build. And then you just execute it. You stick to it. It goes back to consistency.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of bad company culture in trying to?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so what's the first step in trying to correct that?
Changing the mindset of the leadership.
So it's top down.
It's always top down.
Always? Okay.
Always top down.
Yeah. I agree with that. I just wanted to get your take on it.
It's always top down.
Yeah. Have you ever ran into someone that you're trying to help that just won't tolerate it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you deal with that?
I shake their hand and say, let's have a cup of coffee. That's it. You can't make people.
No. Yeah.
Or the old saying is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
I was just about to talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can say, hey, here's what I see coming, but ultimately it's up to them.
Yeah. That's something I've struggled with a lot, is because I see potential. I see, the possibility of in people, and it's like you lead them to the water and they just won't drink it.
No.
Well,
it goes back to the why.
Yeah.
If we've not helped them identify their why, then they're not going to be thirsty.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge for most leaders is we see potential in people they don't see in themselves.
Yes.
And so it frustrates us when, do you know what kind of talent you have?
Yes. Yeah. How do you help them try to see that?
I don't know. You just build that relationship with them, and you keep on trying to get them to see their possibilities.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So inspire. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's right. And with inspiring people, how do you go about doing that? Like, what's your, do you have a system in place, or how do you inspire people?
Well, I try to find out their why.
Yeah.
And I've done things as simple as, if let's just say that Lyle loves to travel.
Yeah, I do.
All right. You do, and I know you do.
Yeah.
Seriously, use that. So Lyle loves to travel. So I'm going to identify your why. You love to travel. I may go to a travel agency and get a bunch of brochures and put them all around your workspace, just so it reminds you every day this is what you're working for.
Yeah. Do you do vision boards and things?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do as your constant reminder through your life?
I know my why. It's my family.
Yeah.
See, when we leave this life, we're either going to leave a liability or a legacy. And my goal is to leave a legacy, not just for my children, but my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
I want to be remembered a certain way.
Yeah, I relate to that a lot because in high school, my quote was, when I die, I'd rather people ask why I have no monument than why I have one. I can never remember who wrote that, but it was some, Gandhi or something like that. But I just really, that struck a chord with me very, very early on. And that's something I've always kind of carried through.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that. So, consistency and then the hiring process. Is there anything else that's a real common problem within businesses?
The leadership.
Yeah.
Going from a management mindset to a leadership mindset.
Yeah.
That's it.
Do you think people just get so hung up on the X's and O's, and the systems and checklists? And
I think a lot of the time people get hung up on with position. I'm the manager, so therefore you have to do what I say. Instead of being able to inspire people and then give them this plan and then letting them execute the plan. It's kind of a power trip for a lot of people that are quote unquote management.
It's hard I'm trying to put myself in that mindset, but yeah. So, but I can see it though. I mean, you hear horror stories, the boss pointing and telling and whatnot instead of leading,
Right.
Yeah. So how do you go about fixing that? And just again with the relationship with the person.
It's all about relationship.
Yeah. When did you?
Same thing with you and your clients and your staff. Yeah. It's all about relationship.
Yeah.
This networking group that both of us belong to, the foundation is built on know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to know each other before we will ever like each other. And we have to like each other before we begin to trust.
Yeah.
And when you get to that level, when people know that the decisions you make are not for you, but to help them, then you're ready to build a business.
Yeah. Yeah. Giver's gain approach.
Giver's gain.
Yes.
That's it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I knew about that for a while, but I didn't really fully grasp it until a couple years ago. I realized if I just helped people and I was able to convey to them that I really did have their best interest and I was able to communicate that clearly, everything went so much smoother.
Right.
Everything, if I was there to truly just help and serve, everything went so much smoother.
Right.
But I didn't really put it all together until a couple years ago, I was doing the right things. I just didn't grasp it didn't come full circle.
Right.
Yeah.
So I love coffee.
Yeah.
And I love Starbucks coffee. And I spent a lot of time there working, preparing. And they use a word for every person there, every member of management, regardless of the level. And that word is partner. And I wrote it down one day and I'm like, they're not employees. They're not teammates. They're partners. Why did they choose the word partner? If you're on a team, then you got a coach and assistant coaches, and you got the staff and you got the players. So it is a hierarchy.
Yeah.
But when you're a partner, everybody's equal. Everybody's on the same team at the same level with the same goal in mind to accomplish. So
I like that a lot. Yeah. I like that a lot. Huh. So when did you realize that relationships were so important? Was there an event or a time, when did you realize that? Or was it just gradual?
It was just a gradual thing.
Gradual?
The more I read, the more I understood. It's relational.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it be with someone you work with. And that's the thing. You're no more important than the very newest person that you've hired. You're equal. If not, why did you hire that person? So everybody has a job to play.
Yeah.
I did this exercise one time. I bought a puzzle. And everything that we did, I wrote on a piece of a puzzle, and everybody in the office got a piece. But I left one piece out, the piece in the center. And with one piece of the puzzle missing, it's not a complete picture. So everybody is equally important to whatever your goal is, whatever that end picture is. Everybody's important equally, because missing one picture, you don't have a complete.
Yeah. One piece, you don't have a complete puzzle at all.
No, you don't.
Yeah. How do you make sure, because you can feel that way, right? But how do you communicate that to the people that you're working with, to accomplish that? Because
you have to show them.
Show them.
You live it.
Yeah, you live it.
You live it.
Yeah.
You just show them, this is how, important you are to me, and this is why.
Yeah.
You learn, you praise publicly, but you reprimand in private.
Sure.
You cannot overpraise, as long as it's earnest.
Yeah.
People know when you're blowing smoke.
Yeah.
But if you're honest with them and you praise them at a good job, they'll keep coming back for those accolades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh, that's interesting. So, because what's probably the most important relationship you've made over the years?
Wow, that's a tough question.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I would say when my spouse, my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've worked some long hours. I was telling you
Sounds
about
like it. Sleeping in cars in the
sleeping in
quarry.
car.
Yeah.
Yes, I've done that. Put a sign up to wake
Yeah.
me up in this time,
Yeah.
and to have a spouse that understands
Yeah.
and supports.
Yeah. Got any tips on that? I'm getting married soon.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're not always right,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just realize that you're not always right about everything, and support each other.
Yeah.
And it goes into business too.
Yes. Yeah.
When I came to Montgomery in '06, I got my leadership team, and I said, look, I don't want anybody that's a yes man. If you're a yes man, go ahead and start interviewing. I want someone that'll come in behind the closed door and say, hey, this needs to be done. You said this wrong, or this happened. And either you're going to support me when we open the door, or I'm going to support you. But we're back on the same page.
Yeah.
But it takes that understanding, that partnership. The same thing with the marriage.
Yeah.
I'm not always right.
Yeah. Yeah. That open communication is so important in life,
Huge.
you know? And as I haven't been on this earth very long, and I don't know everything by a long shot. But what I've realized is just open lines of communication and everything are so important. And for me to be able to, communicate how I feel and make sure it's, and vice versa, right? With business, just it's relationships, right?
Absolutely.
And making sure that open line of communication is there and always.
And even more importantly, that not only do you have an open line of communication, you have to learn as a leader to hear what's not being said. Okay? Like if I ask you, well, how's your day going today? What would you say?
It's going good.
It's going good.
Yeah.
Well, what would make it great?
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So it's that communication. And second, it's not necessarily what we say that matters. It's what they hear.
Yeah. Yeah. That's in sales, that's what I do. Like most of the communication is nonverbal. The way you're sitting, the way, eye contact,
Exactly.
hand postures, your body position and things like that.
Exactly.
It's very important how you say things, and because that determines really how it's interpreted,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if it's not interpreted right, it's not their fault they didn't hear it right. It's your fault you didn't communicate it right to them.
Yes.
So don't get mad at them if they did something wrong
Yeah.
because you didn't communicate it well enough for them to understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really what I chalk up sales to in general, is just being an excellent communicator, because we can have the best intentions, we can have the best product, we can have the best anything, but if you don't communicate it well, you're not.
Well, even in sales.
Yeah.
So we all ask the same question. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
What's in it? And it's going to be at least one of three things: money, time, or peace of mind.
Yeah.
So whatever product or service you're selling, you got to figure out that customer's why, what's in it for them, and then you're able to focus on the money, if it's time, or if it's peace of mind.
Yeah.
And then your product or service, you offer it to them.
Yeah. Yep. Because I spend most of my conversation, like I'm in real estate, most of it's about their situation and what they want. That's
Right.
90%.
How's it going to benefit them?
Yeah, yeah. Because I need to figure out what exactly, and what I've realized is that a lot of people don't know what they want.
Right.
They
Well, we want a new house.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Why are you moving?
Why are you moving? Why?
Yeah. So, because I can put you in a new house, I can put you in a one-bedroom new house.
Exactly.
That's not going to be helpful for you. If you want to be in the right school system, that's just any school system is not going to be good.
You got to have that open dialogue and communication. You got to help them figure out, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't even know.
No,
but you help them figure out, this is what your why is. This is why you're looking for a new house.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I've found too is it's placing them, because most people make decisions off of emotion, right? Like an emotional standpoint.
I would say everyone does.
Yeah. Yeah. I try not to do always and must, but 99% of people, it's an emotional
We're going to round up.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like for me, like it's like one of my first, I keep relating back to my first, real estate coach, but he asked me one time, he said, well, what do you do when you're done showing a house? And I ask him what they think. And he said, well, how is that helpful? And I said, Well, because I need to know what they think. He said, well, what do you think about the room you're sitting in right now? We're on the phone call. And I said, well, I mean, it's got paint and colors. And he said, okay, so that's not helpful though.
Right.
And he said, put them in a position where they can actually answer the question. Could you see yourself living here?
Right.
That's the right question to ask, because now they can say, picture themselves driving to work. The kids in the backyard. Will my truck fit in the garage? Will my bass boat fit over here, or whatever it is? It's when I started doing that. Then when you're intentional with that, it's easier to help people. It's easier to truly serve them instead of just being a yes man.
Right.
Yeah.
You're helping them identify their why, their real reason.
Yes, the real reason.
The real reason.
And I think the important thing is that most people don't know what that is. And so you have to help them find it.
You have to help them.
Yes. Yeah. And that's all through asking questions.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing with your team, your employees, your staff, your partners.
Yeah.
Everyone has a reason why they work somewhere.
Yeah.
And when you help them identify it and you keep reminding them of it, it makes your job as a leader a whole lot easier.
For sure. For sure. So what's your favorite part about your job? Like your job now? Is it just truly helping people?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Zig Ziglar.
Love that guy.
Love Zig Ziglar. He says if you help
what
it
a cool
up,
name too.
I know.
I don't mean to touch you off, but yeah.
And he's from L.A.
I did not know that.
Lower Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before he went to Yazoo City, Mississippi, he lived in Alabama, South Alabama.
Did not know that.
But yeah, great story. But Zig says if you help enough people get what they want, you can have anything in life you want.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's there's truisms throughout everything, right? Like with relationships and family, everything's kind of connected. Like I don't know your faith or whatever, but the Bible tells you to love and serve others. Like if you just take that and do it with everything else in life.
We complicate life.
We
make life about us.
Yes.
We should live life about others.
Yeah.
And if we do that, everything can take care of itself.
Yeah. I was listening to something the other day, and it's like the perfect world would be everyone else looking out for everyone.
Wouldn't that be perfect?
Yeah, because then if I'm worried about everyone else, they're all worried about me, and it just kind of works that way, And the giver's gain approach. There's all kinds of things you can say. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, where do you plan? Like, do you got any big things in the works for 2024?
This is the second time today I've been asked that question.
Oh, okay.
We had our meeting right before I came here.
Yeah.
And we went around the room and we talked about it. So I've written a couple of books, and I would like to have at least one of them published this year. And I'm working on a business book.
Okay.
And I'd like to be able to finish
both of them. Both of them business.
One of them's more of a self-help motivation.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talk any about that, or you want to release anything?
No, it's actually what you follow me on social media, and so I do a post every Sunday morning. I call it "What If."
Yeah.
And then it's just
talk a little bit about that, because I dig them. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's just thoughts I'll have.
Yeah.
And what if, and then whatever it would be. And then usually there's going to be a story that follows it, some sort of application, and then I do incorporate scripture into it.
Yeah.
But do a daily devotional with the what if.
Yeah.
And then the other one, using my background in the Rock Quarry, building our road to success.
Oh,
yeah,
clever.
Yeah,
I like it.
I
like it. I like it. Yeah.
So I'm working on it.
Yeah. So you've read all of these books, and now it's time to write them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you deal with any imposter syndrome?
What do you mean?
Well, one of the things that I struggle with quite a bit is I used to call it self-confidence, right? And it's like why would anyone listen to me? Why would
Early on, yes.
Yeah.
And it was because of my youth, my age. I was younger than most everybody that I was responsible for. But somewhere in life, it clicked, it changed. I don't know when it was.
Yeah.
To you're no better than me.
Yeah.
And if you can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
I just may have to do it a different way. But if you can do something, it's possible.
Yeah.
So if it's possible, that means I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when I have those thoughts.
Yeah.
That's what I go back to. It's like, they're just people too.
They're just people too.
Yeah.
And I think with that mindset, part of my success in sales, in business, was I never looked down at someone, and I never let another man intimidate me.
Yeah.
And it's just not because of my physical size. It's, I could be with this person here that never made more than $30,000 in their life, and then 3 hours later I could be at a bank president's office making $3 million a year, and I didn't look down at this guy like I'm better than him, and the bank president is no better than me.
Yeah.
So we're equal.
That's one of the reasons that kind of I called it "How'd you do it?" because that's what I truly believe is that as I kind of stumble through life and navigate life, what I've realized is that there's just so many people out there that have just these gold nuggets, just the experiences or knowledge or whatever it is. And I'm a big Jordan Peterson fan, and one of the things he says, always assume someone else knows something that you don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I read that about 5-6 years ago, and it just
ultimate
stuck with
in
me.
arrogance to think that we know it all.
Yeah.
If you don't learn something from every person you encounter every day, you have failed.
Yeah, because they have something to offer.
You're exactly right. If we go back to that communication, just talking to them. When I go to lunch or when I go out to eat, I love when the server comes by, I ask them to tell me a story. Hey, tell me your story.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And just get them talking.
Oh, my favorite is like Ubers and taxis and
Yeah.
stuff like that, because normally they're from somewhere else. They migrated here, and it's like, I want to know your story.
Yeah, tell me your story.
Yeah. That's we share that in common,
Yeah.
because it's just fascinating what people go through too, and what they've experienced, and their perception. I like different perspectives a lot.
Absolutely.
And
I love the word perspective.
yes.
I love it. Because we can look at the same thing and have two different opinions.
Oh yeah.
It's just because of perspective.
Yeah, the metaphor of the coin. I can hold the quarter up, and what do you see? We're talking about a coin, but you see tails, I see heads. Yeah.
And it's funny you mention that because, we've always heard every coin has two sides. And is that true?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
Every coin has three sides. It has a heads, a tails, and then it has that side, that everything in the middle. So you have this person's perspective on something, this person's perspective on something, and in between, there lies the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I dig it. So when do you plan on trying to release these books? Just sometime in 2024? Have you set a goal?
No. I'm talking with someone now that's going to give me some leadership and guidance on that. But that would be awesome this year.
That'd be good. I'd read one. Yeah.
Well, appreciate it. So I got one.
Yeah.
I'll sign it for you.
Yeah. Thank you. You're going to be famous one day, man, especially on the podcast, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So, are you doing any other ventures besides writing books and just helping businesses grow? I'm sure you are.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things I did really enjoy is being able to get some picture of something in my mind and be able to build it, to be able to fabricate something to solve a problem. And I've done that ever since, still to this day. I'm actually with a logging company in Opelika working on something for them that's going to solve one of their problems. So I still enjoy doing that.
And when you say solving their problems, you're talking about not from the business approach, from like a purely mechanical approach. That's
correct.
Neat.
Yeah.
Have you always been like that?
Always.
I share that with you.
Always. I love to get an idea in my head how to improve something, make it better, faster, sturdier, and then fix it.
Yeah.
And I did that while I was with every business I've worked for. Help solve problems.
Yeah, I'm a big fixer, and that gets me in trouble a lot, especially with fiance. I try to fix stuff instead of listen, So, but I think it's important, trying to make things better, and that's where that comes out of constant improvement and what have you.
Well, especially with self.
Yeah.
We're never going to arrive. We should always be improving on ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we improve on ourselves, then we can help improve other people. Same way that we did with ourselves. We're just duplicating ourselves.
Yeah. It's a process.
It's a process. It's a process.
Yeah.
Like him or not, it's a process.
Yes. Yeah. When did you fall in love with the process instead of the results?
Well,
because 99%, and I've fallen guilty of that time and time again, right?
I probably say, honestly, past 10 or 15 years, I've discovered it's a process.
Yeah.
The result is just the end action or end result of whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the process is what gets you. It'd be like taking a vacation.
Yeah.
If you're going to drive from the East Coast to West Coast, that's a process. You're going to drive so many hours every day. You're going to need to stay. You need to eat. You need to refuel. the West Coast is the result, but the process is what got you there.
Yeah, and that's the enjoyable part.
That's
right?
the enjoyable part. It's
Yeah.
the process.
Yeah, and going back to what we were talking about as far as people not enjoying their job, maybe that's a better way of explaining my perception of it, is that people don't enjoy the process or the why or understand that enough to really, they're just so stuck in the result orientated mode. It's like, well, when I work hard enough in this big house, that's gonna make me happy.
Nope.
It's like, no,
Nope, won't do it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Again, money is a tool.
it is.
A tool, just like a hammer. So you can build a house with a hammer, or you can tear a house down with a hammer.
Yeah,
It's just what you choose to use it for.
for sure, for sure. So, well, moving to 2024, I know you're writing books and you're helping fix people, or fix businesses, not people. I guess people too. So, are you going to take anything off the plate? Or are you going to keep adding to?
Wow, that's tough. If I had to take something off my plate, would be not to say yes every time.
Yeah.
Because you get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And even I get frustrated and burn out at times, and I have to regroup. I have to go back to my why, and then reprioritize things.
Yeah. Yep. That's something I've been doing lately, is really prioritizing what's important, what I'm actually doing, because I have a bad habit of just piling things on my plate. And it's like, if the plate gets too full, it's like, oh, just get bigger shoulders, go grab another plate, And what I've realized is that nothing is really productive at that point.
Right.
Everything's almost falling. So.
Yeah. When you live to serve others, and when people say, would you do this? Would you come speak here? Or would you be part of this board or this committee? Yes, yes, yes. Then all of a sudden, you're tired.
Yeah.
So that's my thing, is I need to be able to prioritize and say no every once in a while.
I do a vision board every year, and I do it a little differently than most. Like on the top part, I do everything about improvements on myself, right? And so it's always pictures of ways to improve things that I feel like I need to improve on. The middle part is goals, right? And so things to accomplish, things I'm working towards. And then the bottom is the ideal result, right? Like what I want those things to, if I work on myself at the top, I accomplish my goals in the middle, these are the results I could expect. And that's kind of my vision board. And but on the top this year, it's a picture of a guy sleeping, because sometimes I realize you can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
You have to rest. You have to, because what I've got into is, staying up way too late, waking up way too early. And then now all of a sudden I'm not as present. I'm not as helpful. I'm not as effective as I could be.
Right.
And that's a detriment to me, but also the people I'm trying to help.
Right. And your family.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because there's only 24 hours.
Yeah.
And we have to use them wisely.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, well, I've got some questions to ask you before we go. And I kind of ask everybody. Now, the first one is, what is your favorite book? And you can't say the one you're writing.
Yeah. It's like kind of saying, which is your favorite child?
You don't have a favorite?
No.
Yeah.
I love them both equally.
Yeah.
Favorite book? Right now, I'm gonna say Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink and Leif Babin.
What do you like the most about it?
Oh, it's raw, man.
Raw.
Yeah, it's a gut check.
That's a raw guy in general, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
And he's a straight shooter.
Straight shooter for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In more than one ways.
Yeah. We won't use the word abrasive. Yeah.
No. But I guess the whole thing is, it's all me.
Yeah.
If my team doesn't do what I expected, then I didn't train them well enough.
Yeah.
And in his book, he says, there's no bad teams, just bad leaders. And I'm like, oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So, if you could have dinner with anyone, past, present, or future, who would it be?
Another writer I love. His name's Andy Andrews. Tremendous story, but I would love to be able to sit down with him.
It's not ringing a bell. What books has he written?
The Traveler's Gift, and Notice. I don't know.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was about to ring a bell.
Yeah. He's the guy that lived under the pier down in Orange Beach, Gulf State Park Pier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to read that book. I haven't read it yet.
Read them all.
Yeah. I need to read that one. So, what's your favorite food, Mike?
Ooh, I love food.
Yeah.
I love all food, different cultures. And I think that's a way to get to know people is through their cultural food. And but if I had to pick one, it's hard to go wrong with steak. A good steak makes a bad day better.
True Alabamian.
Yeah.
Beef. Yeah, that's what's for
Where
dinner.
That's what's for dinner.
So we got how you did it, but what is your why? And is it the same today as it was when you started?
Always.
Yeah.
It's my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leaving the legacy.
Leaving the legacy.
We've touched on that.
Not the money.
Yeah.
Not money, but the legacy.
Yeah.
Things that last forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And what things do you hope to leave? Things that last forever.
Be a person of your word. Yeah. Be committed. Be responsible. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it.
That's an important one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you having you on. I think we talked about some good things.
Yeah.
And
well, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. Awesome.